It is a curious thing, is it not, that we often take great pains to secure our homes against the trivial dangers of the world, locks on the doors, insurances in place, and measures taken against fire and flood, but give little thought to the unseen realities that shape the atmosphere within our walls? A home is more than its physical structure. It is the place where character is forged, where habits take root, and where the unseen influences of life either uplift or erode the spirit. To allow our homes to remain spiritually barren is to invite disorder first in our surroundings, then in our thoughts, and finally in our very souls. What, then, does it mean to bless a home? Not in the sense of a passing ritual, nor in the manner of superstition, but in the deeper sense of cultivating an atmosphere of grace and strength. A home that is truly blessed is one where goodness is practiced, where kindness is second nature, and where love is not merely professed, but lived out in the smallest of gestures. Consider, if you will, the power of habitual reverence. A home where gratitude is spoken regularly becomes a dwelling of contentment. A home where prayer is natural, even if quiet and unassuming, builds unseen walls against despair. A home where the virtues of honesty, patience, and humility are upheld becomes a fortress against the creeping influence of fear and resentment. But let us not mistake sentimentality for spiritual order. A home is not blessed merely by good intentions. It must be fortified by discipline. If disorder reigns in the heart of the home, it will spill into the lives of those who dwell within it. A careless word, a selfish act, a neglected duty, these are the small cracks through which shadows creep. Yet the opposite is also true. A home where forgiveness is freely given is a home where peace abides. A home where wisdom is sought daily is a home that will never be easily shaken. A home where truth is spoken in love is a place where darkness has no foothold. And what is the result of such a home? Those who dwell within it begin to change slowly at first, then with remarkable swiftness. Their minds grow clearer, their anxieties lessen, and a quiet strength takes hold of their spirits. The storms of life may rage, but they will find themselves anchored, not to the fleeting securities of the world, but to something far deeper and unshakable. The blessing of a home is not a mystical event. It is the daily work of choosing virtue over vice, gratitude over complaint, and reverence over negligence. It is a discipline, a calling, and a great privilege. And those who take it seriously will find that their lives are transformed in ways they never could have imagined. For the home that is rightly ordered is but a reflection of the soul that is rightly ordered. And a life lived in harmony with what is good, true, and beautiful will always be a life that is truly blessed. A home is not merely a structure of wood, brick, or stone. It is the foundation upon which human souls are nurtured, where values take root, and where the unseen fabric of a person's inner world is woven. While it provides physical shelter, its true purpose extends beyond the material as a spiritual sanctuary, shaping the minds and hearts of those who dwell within it. From the moment one crosses the threshold, a home exerts an influence, subtle yet profound. It is not the grandeur of its architecture, nor the wealth of its furnishings that define it, but rather the invisible atmosphere it carries. A house can be vast and luxurious, yet cold and lifeless. Conversely, a humble cottage may radiate warmth, inviting both guests and residents to linger in its embrace. This difference is not determined by external beauty, but by the essence that dwells within, a reflection of the habits, attitudes, and spirits of those who call it home. A well-ordered home is more than an efficient living space. It is a microcosm of the soul. Its arrangement, its tidiness, and the care given to it mirror the inner state of its inhabitants. A home in disarray often reflects an unsettled mind, just as a well-tended home signifies clarity and peace. This connection between the outer and the inner is neither coincidental nor trivial. It is a truth woven into the very fabric of existence. Beyond the realm of order, a home carries an energy that lingers long after words have been spoken. The emotions experienced within its walls do not dissipate like vapor, but settle into its very foundation. A home marked by years of anger, bitterness, or strife bears an invisible weight, making its air heavy and unwelcoming. Conversely, a home filled with kindness, laughter, and forgiveness retains a sense of lightness, even when no one is speaking. The history of a home is etched into its essence, and this history is shaped by the repeated choices of those who dwell there. If kindness is consistently practiced, the home itself begins to breathe with gentleness. If cruelty is a common visitor, the walls absorb its presence. A house is, in a sense, a silent witness to all that transpires within it, and it carries these echoes forward into each new day. The sacredness of home is not a matter of religious ritual, but of intentionality. It is not the mere act of dedicating a house to divine protection that transforms it, but rather the daily commitment to uphold its sacredness through actions, words, and attitudes. The choice to cultivate a spirit of gratitude over complaint, of patience over irritation, of love over resentment, all these small acts weave together to form an unshakable foundation. Consider, for a moment, the way in which a child experiences home. To a child, home is the universe, the first and most powerful world they come to know. If their home is a place of security, encouragement, and love, they will carry this sense of stability into the wider world. But if home is a place of unpredictability, tension, or neglect, the world outside will seem just as unstable. The impressions formed in childhood are not easily undone. They become the lens through which life itself is interpreted. A home does not merely shelter bodies, it shelters spirits. When a person returns home after the weariness of a long day, they should not find themselves entering just another place, indistinguishable from any other location. They should feel as though they are stepping into a sanctuary, a place that shields them from the world's chaos and allows them to regain strength. This, however, does not happen by accident. It is the result of conscious effort, of shaping the home into a place of refuge rather than a place of further exhaustion. There is also a communal aspect to the sacredness of home. While the home is deeply personal, it does not exist in isolation. The way it is cultivated affects not only those who live in it, but also those who enter it. A home can be a beacon to weary travelers, a place where guests feel a sense of belonging, even if they stay but for a short while. Hospitality is not merely an act of service, it is the extension of a home's spiritual warmth, inviting others to share in its peace. A sacred home does not mean a perfect home. There will be days of difficulty, moments of frustration, and times when the weight of life presses heavily upon its inhabitants. Yet even in these moments, the foundation of a spiritually cultivated home holds firm. It is not a home without troubles, but a home that knows how to weather them. It is a place where healing happens, where wounds are mended, and where the soul finds rest. The nature of home as a sacred space is, ultimately, a matter of recognition. The home is already a place of immense influence, whether one acknowledges it or not. The question is not whether a home will shape its inhabitants, but how. If left untended, a home will still have an impact, though it may not be one that nurtures the soul. But when cultivated with care, it becomes a place of extraordinary power shelter, not just from storms of weather, but from the storms of life itself. The world we see with our eyes is but a fraction of the true reality we inhabit. Just as wind shapes the landscape without being seen, unseen forces shape the atmosphere of our homes and the lives of those within them. These forces are not merely symbolic, they are as real as the air we breathe, though they often go unnoticed. Every home carries an invisible presence, an imprint of past conversations, emotions, and intentions. The walls do not forget the words spoken within them, nor does the air remain indifferent to the spirit in which they were uttered. A home that has long been filled with bitterness and hostility holds a different weight than one filled with joy and peace. Though unseen, this difference can be felt by anyone who steps inside. Just as light and darkness cannot occupy the same space, a home cannot simultaneously harbor both virtue and vice in equal measure. One will inevitably prevail over the other. If love and kindness are not intentionally cultivated, negativity will seep in unnoticed. It is not enough to wish for a home filled with peace. It must be actively built through daily choices and habits. The human mind is deeply receptive to the unseen realities that fill a space. A tense, chaotic environment breeds restlessness, making it difficult to find clarity and peace. A home where unresolved anger lingers becomes a place where tempers are easily ignited. Conversely, a home where patience is practiced and understanding is extended fosters a natural inclination toward harmony. Habits and repeated actions serve as invitations to unseen forces. Where gratitude is regularly expressed, the home becomes a place of abundance, not because circumstances necessarily change, but because the perspective of its inhabitants is transformed. Where negativity is constantly voiced, the home becomes a place of scarcity, even if material wealth is present. What is invited in, through words and thoughts, will inevitably shape the home's spiritual climate. Unseen realities are also carried by individuals into the home. When a person returns home from the outside world, they do not come alone. They bring with them the energies, emotions, and influences they have encountered throughout the day. If they had been surrounded by stress, anger, or despair, they may unconsciously introduce these into the home. Without intentional cleansing through reflection, prayer, or simple moments of stillness, these outside influences may take root. There is an undeniable spiritual weight to the objects and symbols placed within a home. A home adorned with reminders of truth, beauty, and virtue will subtly shape the hearts and minds of those who dwell within it. In contrast, a home filled with distractions, clutter, or symbols of materialism may unknowingly encourage restlessness and dissatisfaction. The things we surround ourselves with either elevate our spirits or pull them downward. The way a home is maintained also plays a role in its unseen influence. Neglect breeds a certain kind of disorder that extends beyond the physical. A home left untended often mirrors the internal state of its occupants. Clutter, decay, and a lack of care create an environment where spiritual stagnation thrives. A well-kept home, on the other hand, fosters clarity of mind and a sense of renewal. The act of maintaining a home is not merely a chore, it is an act of stewardship over the space entrusted to us. The presence or absence of genuine reverence within a home has profound effects. A home where time is set aside for reflection, prayer, or gratitude becomes a space where higher thoughts flourish. In contrast, a home where such practices are absent may find itself increasingly influenced by the noise and distractions of the world outside. A home is never spiritually neutral. It is either being filled with light or allowing shadows to creep in. Even silence carries its own form of presence. A home filled with meaningful silence where moments of peace are intentionally preserved allows space for deeper thought, wisdom, and spiritual renewal. A home that is constantly filled with noise, whether from media, arguments, or distractions, leaves little room for inner clarity. Silence is not emptiness. It is the space in which unseen truths can be heard. The people who enter a home also contribute to its invisible atmosphere. Some bring with them a sense of joy, encouragement, and goodness. Others carry burdens that, if not carefully managed, may cast a shadow upon the space. While kindness should always be extended, discernment is necessary. Just as one would not invite a destructive force into a place of refuge, neither should one allow harmful influences to take root within the home. Unseen realities are shaped by intention. A home that is blessed daily through acts of love, patience, and gratitude will naturally repel negativity. A home that is left spiritually unguarded may find itself increasingly susceptible to discontent, division, and restlessness. The unseen forces at work are not matters of superstition, but of spiritual law. What is sown within a home, whether good or ill, will eventually bear fruit. Though invisible, the atmosphere of a home is as real as its walls and floors. It is shaped by the thoughts, emotions, and actions of those within it. By tending to the unseen with the same care given to the seen, a home can become not just a dwelling place, but a sanctuary, one that nurtures the souls of those who reside within its walls. A home does not become a place of peace, strength, and goodness by accident. Just as a garden must be cultivated to yield beauty, a home must be nurtured with intention to become a sanctuary for the soul. The act of blessing a home is not merely a ceremonial gesture, but a deliberate practice of filling the space with virtue, reverence, and purpose. Intentional blessing begins with recognition, the understanding that the atmosphere of a home is shaped by the actions and attitudes of those who live in it. The words spoken within its walls, the thoughts entertained in its rooms, and the choices made each day contribute to the spiritual environment. A home left to chance will reflect whatever influences are strongest, whether good or ill. But a home that is deliberately blessed will carry an enduring presence of peace and strength. Words hold power, both seen and unseen. When words of kindness, encouragement, and truth are spoken regularly within a home, they imprint themselves upon the space. They become part of its foundation, subtly shaping the minds and hearts of those who dwell there. In contrast, a home filled with harshness, negativity, and careless speech absorbs these influences, creating an environment where tension and discord take root. To bless a home is to guard the words spoken within it, ensuring that they build up rather than tear down. Gratitude is a force that alters the spiritual atmosphere of a home. When thanksgiving is expressed, not only for the grand moments, but for the small, ordinary blessings of life, it shifts the very air of the household. A home where gratitude is practiced is a home where contentment flourishes. Complaints and dissatisfaction cannot easily take hold where appreciation is regularly voiced. The act of blessing a home, therefore, begins with the choice to acknowledge the good that already exists within it. Everyday actions serve as a form of blessing. When a meal is prepared with care, it is not merely food that is provided, but love made tangible. When a space is cleaned and maintained with attentiveness, it is not just order that is established, but a sense of dignity and reverence. When burdens are shared and forgiveness is extended, it is not merely relationships that are restored, but the home itself that is renewed. A home is blessed not only by spoken prayers, but by the quiet, repeated acts of love performed within its walls. Rituals of blessing create a rhythm of holiness within a home. Whether it is a moment of quiet reflection in the morning, a simple prayer spoken over meals, or the lighting of a candle to symbolize peace, these small acts reinforce the home's sacred nature. They serve as reminders that the home is not merely a physical dwelling, but a spiritual space that must be guarded and nurtured. Rituals need not be elaborate. Their power lies in their consistency and sincerity. The presence of beauty elevates a home, transforming it from a place of mere existence to a place of inspiration. Beauty, whether in the form of art, music, nature, or thoughtful design, carries a silent blessing. It speaks to the soul, reminding those who live within the home that they are surrounded not by randomness, but by intentionality and meaning. A home filled with beauty, however simple, becomes a place where the spirit finds rest and renewal. Blessing a home also requires removing that which disrupts its peace. Just as weeds must be cleared from a garden for flowers to flourish, negative influences must be recognized and removed before they take root. This may mean choosing to let go of past grievances, setting boundaries against harmful habits, or being mindful of the media and conversations that enter the space. The act of blessing is as much about removing the unwanted as it is about inviting in the good. A blessed home is not defined by its size, wealth, or decoration, but by the spirit it carries. A small, humble home where love abounds is richer than a grand estate filled with coldness and discontent. Blessing a home is not about creating perfection, but about cultivating an environment where goodness can grow. It is about ensuring that those who enter feel lighter, not heavier, that they leave strengthened, not depleted. The effects of intentional blessing extend beyond the home itself. A person who dwells in a blessed home carries that blessing with them into the world. They move through life with a steadiness that is not easily shaken, for they know they have a place of refuge to return to. Their interactions with others are influenced by the peace they have absorbed. A blessed home does not merely change those who live in it. It ripples outward, touching the lives of others in ways unseen. To bless a home is to make it more than a dwelling. It is to transform it into a place where souls are nourished, where hearts are strengthened, and where life is lived with intention. It is not a single act, but an ongoing practice, a daily choosing of light over darkness, kindness over harshness, and reverence over neglect. The power of intentional blessing is not in grand gestures, but in the quiet, faithful acts that turn a house into a home, and a home into a sanctuary. A home is not blessed in a single moment, but through the steady, repeated practice of goodness. Just as a tree does not grow strong by a single rainfall, but through years of nourishment, a home becomes a place of peace, wisdom, and strength through daily habits that shape its atmosphere. Habits are the unseen architects of both character and home. They mold not only the individual, but the space in which they live. What is repeated within a home, whether kindness or indifference, patience or irritation, gratitude or complaint, eventually becomes its defining spirit. A single kind act is admirable, but a habit of kindness transforms the very nature of a home. The simplest of daily actions hold great power when done with intention. Greeting one another warmly each morning, expressing appreciation for even small gestures, and speaking words of encouragement form the foundation of a household where love and respect flourish. A home where such habits are absent may not immediately descend into disorder, but over time, the lack of them leaves a void that other, less noble habits will fill. Discipline and order are essential to spiritual formation within a home. This does not mean rigid control or harshness, but rather a steady commitment to creating an environment where growth and goodness can thrive. Just as a garden requires regular tending to prevent weeds from overtaking it, a home requires ongoing care to remain a place of peace and virtue. Without discipline, disorder gradually seeps in, making it harder to cultivate an atmosphere of clarity and reverence. Everyday routines contribute to the shaping of a home's soul. The way a home is maintained, whether it is kept with care or allowed to fall into neglect directly, influences the mindset of those who live within it. A clean and orderly home fosters a sense of stability and calm, whereas a space left in chaos often mirrors an unsettled mind. The effort put into maintaining the home is not simply about appearances. It is about creating a space that nurtures the spirit rather than drains it. Rituals hold an irreplaceable role in establishing a home's spiritual rhythm. Whether it is a shared meal, a moment of quiet reflection at the start or end of the day, or the practice of gratitude before sleep, these rituals reinforce the home's sacred nature. They anchor those within it to something greater than the distractions of daily life. Without such rituals, time passes without intention, and the home gradually loses its grounding. The power of example within a home cannot be overstated. Children learn not only from what they are told, but from what they witness daily. If they see patience, they will learn to practice patience. If they hear words of wisdom, they will learn to seek wisdom. If they grew up in a home where goodness is the norm, they will carry that goodness into the world. The habits of parents and elders do not merely shape their own lives. They leave an imprint on the generations that follow. Time spent together in meaningful ways strengthens the home's foundation. Conversation that goes beyond surface-level exchanges, shared laughter that brightens the atmosphere, and acts of service that express care for one another build bonds that withstand life's challenges. A home where each person is isolated in their own distractions may still function, but it lacks the richness of true connection. Small moments of patience, restraint, and kindness determine the home's overall character. The decision to hold one's tongue instead of speaking in frustration, the effort to listen when it would be easier to dismiss, the willingness to forgive rather than dwell on offense, these minor choices accumulate over time, shaping the home into a place where love triumphs over discord. The habits of the mind also influence the home. Thoughts of gratitude and contentment create an atmosphere of peace, while persistent negativity and dissatisfaction introduce unrest. A home where gratitude is cultivated becomes a place where joy is natural, while a home where resentment lingers becomes a place where harmony is easily disrupted. The unseen thoughts of each member contribute as much to the home's spirit as their visible actions. A home that lacks intentional habits does not remain neutral, it drifts. The absence of good habits does not leave a blank slate, but allows lesser influences to take root. A home that is not actively cultivated will, over time, lose its sense of direction. It is only through consistent, intentional habits that a home remains a place of refuge rather than merely a place of residence. Spiritual formation is not a sudden event, but a lifelong process, shaped moment by moment. The habits practiced within a home determine whether it becomes a place where souls are strengthened or merely a place where days are passed. In the end, it is not the grand gestures that shape a home's essence, but the quiet, daily decisions that, over time, transform it into something sacred. A home, like the human heart, is not merely a structure, but a living environment that absorbs and reflects the energy within it. Just as dust accumulates in the corners of a house, negative influences settle and unnoticed unless they are intentionally cleared away. Spiritual cleansing is not superstition or ritual for its own sake, but a necessary practice for maintaining a space where peace, clarity, and goodness can thrive. Every home holds the imprint of past words, actions, and emotions. Conversations filled with bitterness, anger, or dishonesty do not vanish once spoken, they linger, shaping the atmosphere. A space that has long been a place of conflict carries a weight that is perceptible even to those who were not present when the words were spoken. Without intentional cleansing, these remnants of negativity continue to influence the minds and spirits of those who live there. Negativity enters a home through many doors. Harsh words spoken in frustration, unresolved tension between family members, external influences brought in from the outside world all contribute to an environment that feels heavy rather than life-giving. Even the media consumed within a home plays a role. Entertainment that glorifies violence, cynicism, or despair subtly imprints itself on the mind, affecting the way people think and interact with one another. The process of cleansing begins with awareness. It is not enough to wish for peace. One must first recognize the sources of unrest. Unspoken resentments, habitual complaints, and careless speech must be acknowledged before they can be removed. A home cannot be purified if its inhabitants are unwilling to examine the ways they contribute to its disorder. True cleansing requires honesty, a willingness to confront what has been allowed to take root. Silence and stillness play a key role in clearing negativity. A home filled with constant noise leaves little room for reflection. Just as a stagnant body of water becomes murky without movement, a home without moments of quiet becomes clouded by distraction. Pausing to reflect, to breathe, to listen not just to external sounds, but to the state of one's own heart allows the spirit of the home to reset. Words, when used intentionally, have the power to cleanse. Just as negativity lingers in a space, so too does the presence of gratitude, blessing, and truth. Speaking words of kindness into a home, offering prayers of gratitude, and verbally affirming the good within a space shifts the atmosphere. A home where blessings are spoken regularly becomes a place where darkness struggles to take hold. Physical order influences spiritual clarity. Clutter, neglect, and disarray create an environment where restlessness thrives. Disorder in a home often mirrors disorder in the mind. Clearing a space of unnecessary distractions, organizing with care, and keeping a home well maintained are not merely acts of tidiness, but acts of spiritual discipline. A well-ordered space fosters a well-ordered soul. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful tools of spiritual cleansing. Holding on to past hurts, even in silence, allows negativity to take root in a home. Resentment lingers long after the conflict has passed, shaping interactions and relationships in unseen ways. Releasing bitterness, whether through spoken forgiveness or quiet letting go, removes the barriers that keep peace from fully entering a home. The people who enter a home also carry influences with them. Just as a person returning from the outside world brings dust on their shoes, they also bring the energy of the places they have been and the experiences they have had. Some enter with joy and encouragement, leaving the home feeling lighter than before. Others bring burdens that, if not consciously addressed, can add to the weight of the space. Discernment is necessary not to reject people, but to ensure that their burdens do not settle into the foundation of the home. The removal of negativity is not only about what is eliminated, but also about what is invited in. A home does not remain empty. It is always being filled with something. If negativity is removed, but goodness is not intentionally cultivated, the void will be filled with whatever influence is strongest. The most effective way to cleanse a home is to fill it so completely with light that darkness has no place to remain. Consistency is key to maintaining a cleansed home. A single act of purification may bring temporary relief, but lasting peace requires ongoing effort. Just as dust returns if left unchecked, negativity re-enters if old habits are resumed. Spiritual cleansing is not a one-time event, but a continuous practice of choosing light over darkness, kindness over harshness, and wisdom over carelessness. A home that has been truly cleansed feels different, not in a way that can be measured, but in a way that can be sensed. It becomes a place where burdens are lifted rather than added, where clarity replaces confusion, where joy becomes the natural response rather than the exception. By removing what weighs the spirit down and filling the space with that which elevates the soul, a home is transformed into a true sanctuary, a place of refuge and renewal. A home that has been intentionally blessed does not remain the same. Just as a garden carefully tended flourishes with beauty and abundance, a home where spiritual principles are cultivated undergoes a quiet but profound transformation. This change is not only external, visible in the order and warmth of the space, but also internal, shaping the hearts and minds of those who dwell within. The atmosphere of a home subtly influences the thoughts, emotions, and behaviors of its inhabitants. A home filled with peace encourages a mind at rest. A home filled with tension fosters unrest, even in moments of silence. Those who live in a blessed home begin to notice that they feel lighter, calmer, and more resilient in the face of life's challenges. It is not because hardships no longer exist, but because the home itself becomes a place of restoration, strengthening those who enter its doors. The relationships within a home are deeply affected by the environment that has been nurtured. In a home where blessings are spoken and kindness is practiced, love flourishes more freely. Conflicts, when they arise, are resolved with greater patience and understanding. The habit of blessing a home naturally fosters the habit of blessing those who live in it. A home that has been transformed becomes a place where forgiveness is easier, where burdens are shared rather than carried alone, and where joy becomes a daily companion rather than a fleeting visitor. Children raised in a blessed home carry its influence with them for the rest of their lives. Even if they one day leave, the principles they absorbed of gratitude, kindness, discipline, and spiritual reflection remain within them. The foundation laid in their formative years shapes the way they build their own homes in the future. The transformation of a home does not end with its current inhabitants. It ripples outward, influencing generations to come. A blessed home begins to feel like a sanctuary, a place of refuge from the noise and confusion of the world. In a world that often prioritizes speed, distraction, and constant stimulation, a home that has been intentionally shaped becomes a counterbalance. Those who live there find that they are less overwhelmed by external pressures because their home serves as a grounding force, a place where clarity and perspective can be restored. The daily routines of a blessed home reflect its transformation. Gratitude replaces complaint as the natural response to life's events. The simple rituals of daily life-sharing meals, tidying a space, offering a kind word become infused with deeper meaning. There is an awareness that even the smallest acts contribute to the ongoing blessing of the home. Over time, these habits reinforce a sense of purpose, ensuring that the home remains a place of peace rather than a place of mere routine. The way a home feels to visitors changes as well. Those who step inside may not be able to articulate why, but they sense that the space carries something different. They find themselves feeling more at ease, more at peace, as though the air itself is lighter. A blessed home does not exist only for the benefit of those who live there. It extends its influence to all who enter, offering a moment of rest, a reminder that such places of goodness and warmth can exist. A transformation takes place in the way those within the home view the world. A person who lives in an environment of peace carries that peace into their daily interactions. They approach their work with a steadier mind, their relationships with greater patience, and their challenges with a quiet confidence. A home that nurtures the soul produces people who move through life with strength and purpose, unshaken by every passing storm. The priorities of a home shift when it has been blessed. No longer is the focus solely on external measures of success status, possessions, or appearances, but on the deeper qualities that truly sustain a household. Love becomes more important than perfection. Wisdom is valued over mere efficiency. The well-being of the soul takes precedence over material concerns. A home that has undergone this transformation reflects a higher order of living, one that prioritizes what is eternal over what is fleeting. The transformation of a home does not mean that difficulties vanish. There will still be challenges, moments of sorrow, and times of uncertainty. But a home that has been blessed becomes a place where these difficulties can be faced with strength rather than despair. It is no longer a place where burdens accumulate, but a place where they are lightened. It is no longer a place where anxiety lingers, but where hope endures. A blessed home has a way of drawing people toward what is good, true, and beautiful. Those who live there find themselves seeking out wisdom, pursuing meaningful conversations, and longing for deeper spiritual connection. They become less drawn to the distractions and superficialities that once seemed so important. The home itself through the way it has been shaped, gently directs those within it toward a life of greater purpose and fulfillment. Even the simplest pleasures take on new richness in a home that has been blessed. A quiet evening spent with family, the warmth of a shared meal, the comfort of a familiar space hall become sources of deep contentment. The transformation of a home is not about grand external changes, but about the quiet, steady deepening of life's most meaningful moments. Those who once overlooked the goodness of ordinary days begin to recognize the extraordinary grace within them. A home that has been transformed by blessing is not easily shaken. It does not rise and fall with the changing tides of circumstance. It stands firm not because of its walls and roof, but because of the spirit that fills it. It is a place where love endures, where faith is strengthened, and where all who enter find themselves lifted, even if only for a moment. The transformation of a home is, in the end, the transformation of those who live within it, making them steadier, wiser, and more attuned to the goodness that surrounds them.